In this video, we compare two legendary Russian breeds, the Caucasian Shepherd and the Central Asian Shepherd. Of our viewers living in Western countries, we received the most questions about these two breeds. We are Eastern European dog content creators, so excuse us if English wording is not perfect sometimes. We are glad that in the past 5 years, we have had the pleasure of talking to many of the best Eastern European breeders personally about the characteristics of these breeds, even with those who have kept and bred both of them for decades. Western people in general know little about the Caucasian Shepherd, but the reality is that although 17th century sources already mention its ancestors, the standardization and conscious breeding of the breed took place after World War II in the former Soviet Union, in the famous state-owned Red Star Kennel. The ancestors came from countless territories. The Armenians, Kazakhs, and Russians also claim this right for themselves, but no one knows what the ancient territories and lines of formation were. The breed underwent a very strict selection, and only the most capable, the most viable, the hardiest, the most resistant to diseases could survive. After World War II, they were primarily developed for military purposes and territorial guarding, like serving in gulag lagers. The conscious finalization of the breed came about in the 20th century, and since then we have known the Caucasian Shepherds as it is now. The Central Asian Shepherd was kept and bred by nomadic, pastoral peoples living in the Central Asian steppes for thousands of years and was perhaps the latest of all dog breeds to come under civilizational influences. Here we can safely say that fortunately for him, this breed is perhaps the least, in quotes, corrupted by the fashion and mass breeding, perhaps the most similar to the ancestors and their virtues of all the dog breeds we know. Its task was to guard the huge migratory flocks against the predators threatening them in the times before the Soviet Union. They came from the territories now belonging to Russia, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan, where, in addition to guarding flocks, they were also used for dog-to-dog fights for thousands of years. It is worth seeing a Central Asian dog kennel. We personally couldn't breathe at the sight of these noble dogs for minutes, especially not when one of the breeders left us alone for 5 minutes with 4 Central Asians: size, bite force, and deterrence. In their case, we are talking about huge Eastern breeds. Their deterrent power is above the average. We have seen people completely frozen just by the sight of them on several occasions, including our cameraman on one of the sets. Both breeds weigh around 130, 180 pounds, and there are significantly more heavier specimens than that, although this type is not supported by the breed standard. As in the case of these breeds, the weight of around 140 pounds is still effective for work. There are no credible, measured data on the bite force of shepherd dogs, only rumors, especially about the Turkish Kangals, which we will be happy to discuss in a later video. Based on the body size of the two breeds in question, which is very similar, and the size and type of their heads, which is also very similar, the estimated value can be around 500 psi. We have already faced tough representatives of both on sets. Both breeds have an above-average deterrent effect. In most cases, the sight of them is more than enough to deter an unexpected intruder. According to breeders, the Caucasian Shepherd is more of a human-aggressive breed, while the Central Asian Shepherd is more of a dog-aggressive breed. Trainability. The two breeds, partly due to their past, have a very similar character. Like other large military and herding dogs, both of them were expected to make their own decisions, even if the owner was not around. Nowadays, these traits have been inherited in such a way that they are primarily excellent for guarding territory, and secondly for personal protection, and they carry the necessary skills and abilities in their genes. Due to their independence, they are not suitable for Western-type working dog drill training too. They are excellent at guarding territory and personal protection. There is no significant difference in their abilities. In the case of the Central Asian Shepherd, no diseases characteristic of the breed are known. It is a breed with enormous resistance, which is mainly due to the fact that its modern breeding and civilization took place very late, so it has avoided problems arising from inbreeding. As a result of modern breeding and exaggerated sizes, Caucasian Shepherds may develop joint problems like hip and elbow dysplasia and knee problems, but these are much less common than the case of Western giant breeds. The average lifespan of the Central Asian is high, There are often 12 to 13-year-old individuals among them. The Caucasian Shepherd lives around 10 to 11 years. Relation to the family. We heard from interviewees who have been dealing with both breeds for decades that they rather recommend the Central Asian Shepherd for families, although neither of the two breeds is an ideal family dog. Of the two breeds, the Caucasian Shepherd really prefers one owner, while the Central Asian is much more tolerant of other family members, not necessarily obedient to them, but bears them with more patience than the Caucasian. The Central Asian likes to stay in the background. They do not need the daily frequent contact with the owner, like Mastiff breeds. All this is not typical of the Caucasians, in fact. They can be decidedly hostile to rarely seen members of the family. According to the unanimous opinion of all breeders and those dealing with these breeds, these two breeds are not at all suitable for beginner dog owners or owners with weak hands. Keeping and controlling them requires a lot of experience and sometimes serious physical strength, and it also involves a huge responsibility. Unlike the Western breeds with a changed character in the world of show rings, these breeds know no pardon. They really protect the property and people entrusted to them.